Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm your incorrigible host, Scott Loia. Welcome to another episode of the Scott Loia Podcast. Today we have Jay Costa with us. Thank you so much for coming and spending the time with us, Jay.
Thank you for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that, was it Google or was it Apple that, put you on the wild goose chase to my place?
I don't even, probably Google. Definitely Google. I got an Android, so.
And like I said, that hasn't happened in years. Otherwise I would have told you. I'm sorry. So, sorry we're getting off to a little late start. I know we're not streaming, but whatever. It's been cool. And, I'm very happy to have you on the program. I want to ask you a lot of questions because Jay is running for county commissioner.
Yeah, for Bergen County. Bergen County Board of Commissioners.
And you also have a podcast, or you don't call it a podcast, you call it a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel. It's basically Second Amendment issues here in the state of New Jersey.
Tell us about the channel.
The YouTube channel. So a little bit of a background. I always watched a lot of YouTube and not any other TV. Like YouTube's really the only thing I watch.
How old are you? You seem like a young guy.
I'm not as young. I just shaved, so I'm not as young as I look.
You're younger than me.
I am younger than you, probably. I'm about to have my third kid. I'm 35.
Okay,
most people think I'm younger, like 25 to 28 about. But
yeah, you look good.
I got a baby. Not good. I got a baby face. That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, I've always watched a lot of YouTube. Would watch a lot of stuff and be like, hey, like I could do that, but I just kind of procrastinated or was a little scared to get started. So eventually, I guess it was maybe 2020 or 2021, I started YouTube, but not this channel. It was a different channel. It was on real estate based stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I started building up real estate content on YouTube, and after I built up, maybe I think I have now maybe 8,000 subscribers on there or something. Nothing major, but it takes, as you know, it takes a long time.
Sure.
YouTube likes consistency. So it got to the point though where it was getting a little boring for me, a little dry. It was very repetitive. I didn't like doing it anymore. So I was like, you know what? I had this second channel that I would every once in a while throw some hobby stuff up, like I installed this on my Jeep or whatever. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this channel more and just kind of have fun with it, like put up what I want. And 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, what happened, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but the Bruin decision by the Supreme Court allowed, or forced anyway, states like New Jersey to have to give out carry permits to carry a handgun. Once that happened, and I was already into guns before that, but if you can't carry one, if you can only just go to the range and shoot paper, it's kind of useless in my opinion, other than, just for fun every once in a while.
How'd you get into it though? Yeah, I mean, is that what sparked the passion? Or were you into
I was already into it before that, but we were so limited in this state. You'd go online and hear the rest of the country like, oh, I carry this, I carry that. It's like, I can't carry anything. I can't even stop at the gas station on the way to the range without, potentially becoming a felon. So it was just like, I was into it, but what are you going to do? Like, there's only so much you can do with that. Once the Bruin decision came down and I was allowed to carry a handgun, that's when I actually got a real passion for it. There's like all bets were off. I'm going full bore. This is it. And my first few videos after that was, basic stuff, similar stuff to what I did on the real estate channel. And I learned, you could look back and say, or I could look back and say, I wasted time on the YouTube channel for real estate or whatever, but it really, I learned how to do, the audio, the video, the lighting, the editing. So it really built a pretty good foundation for what I'm doing on this channel now. And my first couple of videos were, step by step, how to apply for and obtain your New Jersey concealed carry license, and why I choose to carry a handgun every day in New Jersey, all that sort of stuff. So that was about 2 years ago, and we've built up that channel to about, I don't know, 12 or 13,000 subscribers, something like that at this point. We got another, few thousand, 7,000 or 8,000 on Instagram. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's small compared to most others, but it takes a lot of work.
Sure.
As you know.
So how consistent are you with it? Are you doing it like once a week?
With YouTube?
Yeah.
Once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah. YouTube, from what I can see and from what I've heard and read and researched, consistency is key. And you have to just pick, what you can do, because I think that they'd rather see you do once a month, even every single month, instead of like every week for a few weeks, and then you stop for 2 months, and then I think they'd rather see the consistency. But if you're going to wait that long to do it once a month, the production quality and it has to be more on point.
Right.
You know, it's different. Like people go on like a live stream every day and have a big following, but the quality doesn't.
Are you doing it live or are you just recording it?
No, I record it. You know, I pretty much keep it to a general script, to be honest with you, because I tend to ramble. You'll see in this podcast. I'll try, if I am, just tell me, say shut up.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, no, it's not.
I don't have the brass either to do it live yet. I'm like, look, I just started. I know that I'm going to be, you know, tripping on my face planting every once in a while. You know, you got to get your sea legs. You got to navigate the waters, get used to it. But, you know, I'm just having fun. Things are going good with it. Last weekend or this past weekend, we went to the Hands Off rally in Teaneck.
Right.
Have you been to any of those? Have you seen them?
Not to the Hands Off rallies.
They're crazy, man.
No, I haven't. I was. I saw. They were all over. I saw one by me. You know, on social media or whatever. It was raining and stuff though, so it's like, you know, you want to piss them off, but it's like I'm not going to sit there.
There was a big one, I think, in Montclair.
Yes,
Cory Booker spoke there. The one I was at was in Teaneck. I'll tell you, I mean, there were a lot of people there, a few hundred people there. It wasn't bad. Something that one of my friends noticed, though, which I thought was really weird, a lot of old white people. It wasn't like the typical very young liberal crowd. Yeah. A lot of them were older. Yeah. I thought that was curious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting to me. I find that. So I've been a little bit of background about me politically. I have been a dyed-in-the-wool, rock-solid conservative, not rock hard, since basically coming out of the womb. I grew up watching Fox News with my grandfather, Hannity and Combs, and O'Reilly Factor. Then I started in high school and college. I got into listening to the radio. I had Rush and Hannity, and Mark Levin was my guy. So I've been on this side, let's say, for quite a while, based on my, you know, as a percentage of my age. Back then was very different. Just who was on each side, right? Where like the Republican side was like were the rich people, the white people, the country club crowd, and the Democrats were more younger and diverse, and a lot of like union workers, blue collar workers, and it has shifted so much. Some of there's still some parts that are the same, but most of it has shifted almost completely 180 degrees. And I think a lot of that, I'm not going to say it's 100% just because of Donald Trump, because he won because we were already going in that direction, but he capitalized on it big time. And we're seeing it now where the Republican Party has, and obviously you saw this in the election last year and the results, has gotten more diverse, more racially diverse, more blue collar oriented, more middle income oriented, and the Democrat Party has gotten more higher level of income, generally speaking, and more white. So you're seeing that more and more often. And I'm happy that it's this way, because it was hard to be on the other side for quite a while.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. Just going to push a little bit. I think it was more a branding thing. I don't necessarily think that it was true. I'm not saying that it was all not true. Okay.
Wait, what's not true?
The demographic shift from, you know, previously what you were mentioning to now. I think more people have gravitated to our camp. Okay. I think our branding, especially with Trump, you know, in his Trump speak, you know, dumbing everything down, just making it simpler for anybody to understand, because politics is boring. You know, the layman doesn't want to watch politics. You know what I mean? They think that it's very boring. And when he speaks, you know, he's not speaking like somebody like a Vivek. You know what I mean? You know, he doesn't use that vernacular. So when he dumps things, the same thing he's talking about, like with the tariffs, when he just says, hey, we just want it to be fair, reciprocity. You know, we want the tariffs to be reciprocal. They charge us 100%. We're going to charge them 100%. Why should it be unfair? It's very easy for people to understand. So that's what he'll go with, because that's going to be the branding of the agenda.
So he speaks like the common man more so.
Well, I think inherently he is that way anyway, but I do think in a sense, he's not a stupid guy. I do think that in a sense it is tactical and it's thought out, and this is the way he's going to brand it. This is going to be the message because it's an easier message for most people to understand. So I would rewind talking about the demographics, like how the party kind of shifted demographic. I just think it was bad branding. Like ever since the Democrats took advantage of the corrupted brand after Nixon, and they asked Nixon, because Nixon wasn't a bad president. Nixon was actually a really, really good president. Okay. But he just got lambasted by the media for everything. And what did he do? What was his thing? His thing wasn't even what happened at Watergate. It was more like he might not have even known that. It was more like the cover up.
Right. By the way, a former Bergen County resident.
That's right. That's right. So what he did compared to what these people are doing now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare the two, because everything's just so different with technology and stuff. But yeah, I've said that many times in the privacy of my own home to my wife. It's like, what they were going after him for then, I'm going to take a wild, educated guess and say it's happening right now, every single day.
All the time.
And that's not once again, it's like comparing LeBron to Jordan, right? It's just different generations, different times, different rules, different expectations. But yeah, I totally agree. But what are you saying? I want to get to the demographic part of it.
I'm saying I don't think that necessarily the Republican Party was just white and rich, and that the Democrat Party was. Oh,
so you're saying they weren't actually like that at the time. That's just how the media portrayed.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying I think it was just a little more subtle. I don't think that it was that great a shift. I think yes, definitely in the coming years since Obama. And since everybody has seen what has happened since the pussification of America with the Obama administration and all their policies, Trump coming in with his America First and just in your face branding of common sense policy, okay, and individual responsibility, I think has. I mean, this is what a lot of the minorities, they would describe it as, I'm off the plantation, because, like they were under this spell, of grievance, reparations, all the stuff that they, maybe the previous generation was brought up to believe. People were getting sick of, the white privilege stories and the victimhood. They don't want to be labeled as the victim. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So I think that has gravitated a lot of minorities to our camp. They finally understand they want to be part of this. Okay, we're not living in 1940s, 1950s anymore. There was a history. It was bad. Everybody knows it, but we're so far past that. So many generations separated from that. Nobody has been a slave or a slave owner. So
my family wasn't even here.
It's kind of ridiculous. And now that we have also some other young people, young minorities as well, but like people like Charlie Kirk, people like Ben Shapiro. It's not as cool to be a Democrat now, after they've doubled down on stupid, after so many years of bad policy and just trying to gang up on Republicans, gang up on conservatives. They ran out of policy prescription arguments when they just start calling us racist and they start calling us bigots. It's like people are just sick and tired of it. So I think that's what has gravitated people to us, younger people, like you say, more diverse people. And it's a good thing, because they painted themselves into a corner. Where do they go? Where do they go with their policies now? It's garbage. It's garbage. The policy and the common sense is on our side.
Well, I was just going to say at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding always, right?
Sure.
So like, yes, you could tell a certain demographic, whatever demographic that is, that you're being oppressed or, in any which way, and vote for me, I'll help you. But there's only so many times you can go back to that well and say, okay, the other party it hates you or doesn't like you or doesn't respect you or wants to keep you down, and I'm here to help, and vote for me. Okay, they vote for you. And then you come back again 4 years later, okay, vote, and then they vote for you.
They
and the third
overplayed
time,
their
it's like, hey, nothing's changing, nothing's getting any
Right.
better. So I think that's a big. You're right. I agree with you that much of it is politics is life, right? Politics is branding. I totally agree that that's a huge part of what happens. But even just specific policy wise, to just get a bigger like outside perspective from it. Let's talk about, if I may,
Go ahead.
like, because it kind of connects to this. I would in college, I read a lot. I was a political science major, so I kind of took courses like this and stuff, economics and things like that. As a concern, I read a lot of Heritage Foundation stuff and all these things. I was told that tariffs were bad, really bad. And, it was free trade or nothing. And anything other than that was whatever, socialism or whatever. It's very interesting how it's totally flipped on that issue, among others.
Right.
But it's totally flipped where you have someone like me who's like, am I as strong with, oh yeah, tariff everybody as much as President Trump? Probably not. But it's a tool that I think can be used effectively based on the last however many decades of bad trade policy that we've had. We've, like, people on our side of the aisle, the conservative side, economists and things like that, like Milton Friedman, all that.
I love him.
Yeah, free trade is always good, but the problem is we didn't live in a perfect world and there was no free trade going on. And President Trump, his view is that we were getting ripped off on our trade deals. And while we were getting ripped off on our trade deals, it totally hollowed out the middle class of the country. So it's interesting to me how that policy has flipped. It's interesting to me how the war military industrial complex part of it has flipped. And I do still think that there was a demographic shift where, because I see, frankly, a lot of boomers out there that probably voted for George Bush, but would never, ever in a million years vote for Donald Trump and would rather vote for Kamala Harris. So there's a political shift, and it's happened in the history of our country before, but this is a big one. Maybe not one as big as this before. I find it very interesting. But anyway, back to you.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I was playing this clip for some of my friends, and I wouldn't show them the clip. I would only let them listen to the audio. And there's this congresswoman on the House floor, and she's talking about what we're doing with the tariffs. She's exposing all of our trade deficits. She's exposing, like how all of our jobs have basically just been offshored, how the politicians, our leadership is basically selling us off, and how there's such an incredible imbalance. And she's just railing against the machine and trying to point out,
are you going to quiz me?
No. Because I'm pretty sure you already know.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm playing this for my friends, and she's talking like a Trumper.
Yeah.
She's talking like a Trumper. She's talking like me, and she's very passionate about it. And then I asked them, can you identify this person? And I want to play the clip for everybody.
That the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction. In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all.
I'm sure you already know who it is. Okay, and then I show them, and then they're like,
in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser.
Because it was Nancy Pelosi
Of course.
from 30 years ago.
Yeah. You probably don't have to go that far back.
But it was something like 96. So it was 29 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not going to be able to tell that it's her because of her voice, much younger. But when you see it's obviously her. They had another one, a Chuck Schumer also, that was flown around.
Yeah.
But I found it, it's so curious. When I'm watching this clip, I'm like, how does somebody talk like that, talk like such a patriot, cares about the country, cares about our well-being, really sees and is pointing out what's going on, bringing in the numbers, bringing in the graphs, because, facts don't care about your feelings. She's bringing the receipts. This is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And she's showing, like, if we stay on this course, we're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now what? What happened? How do you go from that to this? And it's either the only thing I can think of. It's like they either got something on her, okay, or maybe they got something on somebody that she loves, or who knows what it is. But it doesn't make sense that somebody can be that passionate and that patriotic sounding back then, and then go to this. What was your take on it when you saw that video?
Well,
I thought it was so strange.
I'm not surprised at all, because the Democrat Party used to be fairly pro-tariff, and Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat Party always very much disliked and disdained China, human rights abuses and all these things. As recently as I remember, there was whenever the Olympics were, I think maybe 07, 08, wouldn't be 07, but Olympics were in China. It was a whole thing, if they were going to go or not, boycott, whatever. That doesn't surprise me at all. To answer your question, I think the main reason is this. The Democrat Party, not that they're listening to me, but just from my observation, they used to have certain values that would protect the American worker. And that's why, generally more blue collar people, union workers would vote Democrat a lot. Union boss issues and stuff aside, they have totally abandoned the American worker, because they saw that group of voters they thought was not growing. It was actually probably shrinking. And they bought into identity politics. They bought into, I would say, I think Ben Shapiro says this a lot, so I'll give him credit. He says that the 2012 election with Mitt Romney and Obama was a big pivotal point, because 08, Obama ran on a unity campaign, right? 2012, he did not. He ran on a pretty divisive campaign, actually, that and the Democrat Party in general, where, okay, we don't need your guys' vote anymore. We're just going to go for the young minorities, and we're going to just build a coalition of minorities, basically. And that group is growing, and we're just going to assume that we're going to get all that support. And your group is shrinking, and we're just always going to win elections for the end of time. And they've gone down the rabbit hole so far on the identity politics and the division and dividing us up into different parties and groups, where this is where they stand. They actually have no values anymore.
They have run out of ideas. The election between Obama and Romney in 2012, Romney should have won that. Obama, everything that he did with Obamacare, the economy crashing. I know that maybe it was coming back, but he exposed himself sort of as a fraud. Okay, because yes, you're completely right. That 2008 campaign, it was a unifying campaign. Total foreclosure. Full disclosure. I voted for Obama. Whew. Okay. Obama created this. Obama created this because after a year, I wasn't into politics. I mean, I was basically conservative without knowing that I was conservative. I was more of a, I was always very optimistic, but I was always like a common sense guy, but I was never like into politics. You kind of take for granted where you live. We grow up in the greatest country on earth. Okay. Everything's easy for us. Like I basically grew up in the 80s. You probably grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. Yep. And things were still really good.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have to worry about anything. We're Americans. Everything's great. We're Americans.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody messes with us. We have all the power. So we're like insulated from everything else. And it doesn't, until it affects you, sometimes you're not paying attention, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what happened to me. Obama created this. So after I voted for Obama, I see what was happening. I was like, man, I thought this was a unifying campaign. You know, I thought he was going to be pro-Israel because he went to Israel. He gave that whole speech. I listened to the speech. I'm like, man, this guy's just freaking lying to my face. He's absolutely lying to my face. The whole thing with the universal health, I didn't understand. And then I was like, you know what? Somebody told me about media bias. I'm like, okay, what's this concept?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting down and I'm watching O'Reilly. I'm watching Maddow. O'Reilly, Maddow. I'm just like, what is going on here? It's like same story, two different takes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm in this camp now.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it was like.
So there wasn't, so was there what would you say it was around the 2012 election or just before that? Or was
It
there
was
a certain
before
moment?
the 2012 election. I had already, started to get involved. I started my own business around 2007. Okay. I'm in manufacturing and business took off like a rocket ship. And then within like 2 years, everything was being offshore to China.
Right.
The industry got its legs cut off. They really took a hatchet to everything with their trade policies, with everything.
The trade policies are so bad. And it's something, once again, as a lifelong conservative, you were told to not question the trade policy, that free trade was good, that we can export these jobs because it's efficient that way and all these sorts of things. But man, you start looking and going into other parts of the country, because we're very blessed to be in a I don't know what you would call it. We're blessed to be in the area that we're in and able to provide for our families here. Not that you can't see it around here too, but you go to certain areas, and these areas in the Midwest and whatnot have been totally hollowed out.
They've been
decimated, perfect word, by poor trade policy. And you realize, hey, free trade, shipping our jobs overseas so we can get cheap Amazon shit is not always the best, right? It's been an eye-opening experience just for me, as Trump has talked more and more about tariffs, going back to the first term, and now he's more serious about it. But yes, anyway, back to Obama. I won't hold it against you that you voted for Obama, because I would
please don't.
Because at the same time, I was also defending the Iraq War, so I don't know which one was worse, to be honest with you.
Well, I also didn't like the whole Iran thing, the Iran nuclear deal with Obama, and that's where I was just like, oh my God, now you've just completely lost me. You're a moron.
Yeah.
You're just a moron.
And by the
then
way,
everything.
Not to interrupt you, another point
ahead.
I wanted to make. You said he should have lost 2012.
He should have lost 2012.
He could have lost 2012.
Romney had that.
The problem is, I never liked Mitt Romney. I never thought he was a good candidate at all.
I can agree.
And he did. Barack Obama received actually a good bit less votes the second time.
Of course, that's why it should have been easier.
So it should have been. It should have been easier. Yeah.
You know where he lost?
Where?
Romney?
Yeah, where?
Do you remember the presidential debate with Candy Crowley?
Yes, but
and he was talking about Obama going like what he said at the Rose Garden or something. I forget exactly what it was that he said. Nobody even remembers what he said. All they remember is that Candy Crowley injected herself, into that debate instead of being a moderator. And she was like, no, that's not true. That's not true what he said. And Romney was like, yeah, he absolutely didn't. No, that's not true. That's not. And Obama then, it was like 2-on-1. And unlike Trump, he went like this. He sighed. He turned around and he walked back to his place like a kid that was just punished from the dinner table, sent to his room with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, but
I'm like, how? Nobody looks at that and says that's presidential. You just, pardon my French, you just fucked yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? Because optics are everything. Okay? Nobody's going to vote for a pushover.
Yeah.
So something that simple, okay? That wasn't leadership.
No.
That wasn't alpha. That was so beta of somebody, and nobody's going to vote for a beta.
But these
for,
are all
for
the
president.
But these are all of the going back to the kind of the more traditional Republican sort of side of things. These were all the candidates that were pushed on us.
No,
These were all the
you're
candidates
right.
that we were told, oh, this guy could win, that guy could win. Where you're talking about a John McCain, you're talking about a Mitt Romney, you're talking about a Jeb Bush.
Well,
right?
we had Newt. Newt was okay, but he doesn't have the charisma for
Newt
for
Gingrich
president.
is great, but he never had the charisma to run
Yeah.
for president or even come close, to be honest with you.
He's a good talker. Like his debates are good. Like if you got to, but there's something about he didn't have the it factor.
Listen, the
You
media,
know what
the
I mean?
media, what Canty Crowley thing? What do you expect? It has been like this for quite some time.
No, it has, but
where the media bias is that
that's
way.
why-
We needed one person or a couple or whatever, a movement to point out that this is ridiculous and say it back to their face. And it's different in different times of our history, right? Like it would have been impossible. You could have had Trump run in 2008 or anyone running. Ronald Reagan wouldn't have won. Abraham Lincoln wouldn't have won.
You think
as a
Trump would have
Republican.
lost? I'm sorry, not 08. Yeah, in 08, maybe.
Abraham Lincoln wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
Because the economy just crashed, the stock market just crashed, the incumbent had a 20% approval rating, if that, and John McCain, who was a continuity candidate, was not going to win.
The
He
way
was
the
not gonna win.
media branded Bush, how stupid he was, and everything, like with the Iraq War.
Well, everything.
Yeah,
They went
it was
after
just-
him a lot.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad branding. So yeah, you're probably right. But in 2012, that should have been a comeback.
It's hard to beat an incumbent, though. You know, it's always hard to beat an incumbent because they have the power of the office. He just Obama.
It is.
Obama just got Bin Laden less than a year before that. That was big.
It was
on.
big, but hey, it's like he's the one that just happens to be president.
No, I
It's
know.
not like him. It's not like he was the one, with the
No,
with
I
the
know.
machine gun.
Well,
and the tactical-
we know the guy that shot him
Right.
is a big Trump guy now. So totally, I'm with you. But
I appreciate that he was willing to go after him and screw Pakistan. We're going in anyway. It takes a certain amount of courage. He was not the worst leader because he had leadership qualities and he was a successful president, just not successful in the stuff that I want for the country. Okay. He rammed down universal socialized health care in our country. Bad. But he was successful. Okay. He was successful with Obamacare. And that was bad.
I think his biggest faults were in the more social aspects of it and as we mentioned before, the dividing us into certain groups and stuff.
The divider in chief.
Yeah, the divider in chief. I remember. There's been so many events, but one of the shootings of the kid, maybe it was Michael Brown.
When he sent Eric Holder there. Eric Holder was the AG, and there's all this stuff going on in the media, and they just wanted blood. They wanted blood, and they sent Eric Holder there. And Trayvon Martin.
Maybe it was Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin was the first one. Okay, so now I remember Trayvon Martin, and what was the guy's name? George Hernandez, something like. No. God,
it's a while ago now.
Hold on, it's good. See, this is the benefit of not having to do something live, even though you can talk over what you're doing. Trayvon Martin. Hushana. It was Zimmerman, was it?
Yeah, Zimmerman. George Zimmerman. Yeah, that was it.
Zimmerman. Okay, so Zimmerman shoots Trayvon, and MSNBC, this is what I remember. MSNBC, when they report it, okay, they cut the audio tape of Zimmerman calling 911 and giving the description. They edited it, and through omission of the actual footage, through omission, they made it sound as if it was like racially motivated.
Right.
Yeah, the black guy, he's got a gun, and that's it. They cut it. Oh, how dare you? Like everybody reacts, son of a bitch, and they want his head. But when you played the whole clip, the 911 operator was asking him, "Can you give us a description?"
Right.
You know?
I don't even remember the specifics of any of these cases, but yeah, my problem is almost always with the media, especially in a situation like that, right? Because the first 24 hours, 48 hours after anything like that happens,
Right.
all the information is going to be wrong or
you're
off,
100%.
and they'll go with it no matter what, if it fits their narrative. And if it doesn't fit their narrative, they move on to the next thing. But if it does fit the narrative, you will not stop hearing about it.
But just to cut you off, I apologize. I just want to rewind. The whole point of me saying that was because I believe, because things were going really good for a while. Okay. Yeah. In the 80s, everybody's holding hands, singing "We Are the World." Okay. I grew up in the 80s. I don't remember things being like that. I don't remember racial tension. Okay, everybody loved Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan. Okay, I was watching Cosby Show. That was before we knew that he was a serial rapist.
I won't hold that against you either.
No, I mean, race relations were fine.
Well, if you look
race relations were fine. That Trayvon Martin thing, in my opinion, that's what flipped everything. Okay, and they started using race again to divide everybody. Right. Everything was racially motivated. Everything, like the grievance industry and the snake oil salesmen in the grievance industry, that started up again. You know, they were fueling that, and it was bad for a very long time, up until I think now maybe around 2015, 2016, where you had like some black conservatives come out and started railing against this and start pulling it back again. But yeah, that wasn't a good thing. And that for me was part of why in Obama's second term, yeah, he started losing it. He was the divider in chief.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything you just said. It probably even started, I would say even before that, they tried to paint George Bush like that as well, specifically
as a racist.
Yes, but specifically during Hurricane Katrina. That's a lot.
Could be true.
A lot started there. I mean, before that, from 2001 to 2006, I think is when Katrina was. We were dealing with 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, right?
Right.
And then, once Iraq started to not come to an end, but we started to move on from those issues as a country here, society-wise. We started to get into the more grievance stuff and the racism stuff. And I think most Americans at this point, I mean, this is a long time ago now. I just said 06. That's almost 20 years ago. I think most Americans have moved on from those things. That's not to say that there isn't racism. Of course there is. But you have to take each case, each situation into consideration. You look at the facts, you look at what's going on. And I think most people are just tired of it, of all different shapes
Absolutely.
and colors and sizes. And they believe it or not, I think that they saw Trump a little bit this past election, maybe not the first time or the second time, but this past election, they saw him as a vehicle to kind of move past that. And of course, in my opinion, the race stuff isn't even the biggest thing anymore. It's all of the all the other social issues that they're trying to they've tried to ram down our throats, our kids' throats, and most Americans, like, we're on the winning side of most of these social issues. I think that's really one of the biggest reasons anymore.
So let me ask you, you're running for county commission. Why?
Well, the way it is now, so we're in Bergen County. Mm-hmm. The way it is now, there has not been a Republican in the county level government elected in 13 years. So there's 7 county commissioner seats. They're all Democrats, and they have been for 13 years. There's a county executive, Democrat, has been for 13 years, as well as sheriff as well. I've lived in Bergen County my entire life, and it's a lean blue area, but that's insane. So at the very least, when I heard that, because I didn't even know, when I heard that, I was like, someone has to run to at least get some checks and balances. I think that's a winning issue right there, to be honest with you. If people knew that in this county, they would want someone from the other side at the table to at least see what's going on, right? Instead of just same party rule, rubber stamping every single thing, because where does that lead to? That leads to, overspending on your budget. That leads to overtaxation and worse, right? So that's the number one reason. The number two reason, and this is more just generally speaking, last year when on July 13th, when President Trump was shot. I've always wanted to get involved in politics eventually, like maybe later on or whatever, but life gets in the way, and you don't even know where to start, and who needs it? When that happened, it was like a moment in my life that I'll never forget. Up there with the moment that I realized that I met my future wife. I said, enough is enough. I can't just sit on the sidelines anymore. I love my country, and I love New Jersey, frankly, too much to just sit on the sidelines and not do anything and not get involved. So within a couple months, I asked around and things and saw that this opportunity was there to run for office. Once again, lived in Bergen County my entire life. I love Bergen County. I'm choosing to stay here and raise my kids here for the rest of our lives, me and my wife. And I just want to make it better. I want to make it more attainable for people. I'm in real estate. You see people moving out of the state and the county at massive levels.
The cost of living here is insane.
It is. It's sad, frankly, to me that most of the people that I grew up with don't live here anymore. I saw a stat the other day. I forget it off the top of my head. It was like 60 or 70% of real estate transactions in New Jersey, the people are leaving the state.
Oh yeah.
Don't quote me on that. It was something like that, but
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to make it more even, trying to make it more level in regards to the party control of our county. Our budget has gone up substantially. It's up to about $800 million per year.
On the county level?
On a county level. So it's literally coming up to $1 billion a year. So I mean, I'm not running to go cut and slash every single thing. We pay high taxes, right? So people expect a certain level of service, and I would too. People like our county parks being nice, and they like the golf courses and things like that. But that with any rubber stamp approval, one party rule, there's going to be efficiencies at the very least. There's going to be things that you could look at and change in order to, if not provide better services, at least take back, or I should say, if not be able to cut our taxes, at least provide better services for what we're paying.
All right. So the shooting lit the fire under your ass. Look, it's a great thing when anybody's getting involved. A lot of times it's a thankless job. I'm on the school board, so I know, believe me, and it's a sacrifice,
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. And I'm not even through the primary yet, and it's definitely a lot. I mean, if 3-4 times a week at night, I'm leaving my kids and stuff. I'm not putting them to sleep, and
just a campaign.
Yeah, it's but it's something that I'm of course willing to do. I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't willing to do it. And I've hopefully I'm trying to kind of inspire other people to get involved as well.
That's also a good thing. I think that's one of the bigger part of it that a lot of people miss out on. They don't think that way.
Well, we all like to bitch and complain, right, on social media and stuff, me included. But there's a little bit too much of that on both sides, and not enough actually getting involved. It's like, okay, well, why don't you go do something about it? It's like, no, I don't want to. It's like, okay, then then your opinion is just your opinion, and that's that. Unless you're actually willing to go out and put the work in and stuff with with running for whatever office. To be honest with you, it has been a big sacrifice so far, but I've been enjoying the process so far tremendously. I know all the towns already, but like I said the other night to you guys, and that was Franklin Lakes.
It was Franklin Lakes,
right? Franklin Lakes and Oakland and Wyckoff. I think there was even a Glen Rock guy in there, if I remember. But I learned something new about each town every time I come out. I was in Allendale last night, Closter the night before. So I've been enjoying the process, honestly.
That's good.
Yeah.
What are, like, say, the 2 or 3 biggest issues that you want to tackle once you get in?
Well, of course, number one is just generally speaking, getting checks and balances back. The Democrats should not have all 7 seats on the Board of Commissioners.
So just winning would attain that.
Well, just winning would attain that because listen, even if there's
how many are there? There's 7.
There's 7 total, and there's 3 open seats, and there's incumbents are running on the Democrat side. Then they're also getting challenged as well in their primary. And then on the Republican side, there's 5 of us running for 3 seats, right? So let's just say whatever, 3 and 3. Even if the Republicans win all 3, we would still be the minority party on the board. But guess what? We would, at the very least, they would have to listen to us.
You'd have
at
a voice.
the very least. You'd have a voice,
sure.
right? Yeah. And they'd have to deal with us, and that's something. And then once you win one time, then okay, next year I think there's 2 more seats up. You start inspiring other people and better candidates to actually run because they saw these 1, 2, or 3 win. And they say, "Oh, hey, there's a chance, there's an opportunity to win." Right now, you're not. I've realized, and I'm new to this local politic game, but I'm learning. A lot of people. It's been hard to get people to run, specifically on the county level, on our side because they think they've had no chance because they see the track record and what have you. Other issue. I mean, obviously, what you hear a lot would be like a Doge for Bergen County or something. There's a lot of. Let me use an example. In Allendale yesterday, someone, I think he was mentioning a new driving range in Mahwah, the golf course in Mahwah. And I'm taking his word for it. So don't quote me on this. I forget his name. Okay. He was, I don't want to
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
He was an older gentleman who used to be the mayor of a town. Okay. He said, I guess he had an issue with the driving range being put in or whatever. And then he told me like the cost of the actual driving range, right? So, and he said like $6 million or something like that for a driving range, which I thought was exceedingly high without seeing it. My issue isn't so much that, oh, hey, we're building driving ranges. My issue is why does it cost $6 million, right? And you know how it works, especially with a one-party rule. There's no, who's getting the jobs here? Are we getting a certain amount of bids? Is there any, you just want to make sure everything, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but things tend to be very, very expensive in this state and in this county done by the government, right? There was a number at some point that I saw, I don't know it, so I won't try to quote it, but like we have like the highest costs of a cost per mile of highway in the entire country. That doesn't surprise me, right? Because there's things involved in the politics and with the businesses and in this area that, there's an opportunity for people to like benefit financially in these situations, kind of be in cahoots with each other. We just want to make sure with checks and balances that doesn't happen.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. What about some of the gun laws in New Jersey? I'm sure you're passionate about those.
Yeah. Well, the county commissioner level, probably doesn't have very much say at all, but that's on the state level. But to be honest with you, that's a big reason why I have been enjoying the process so far. Isn't even so much for me to win as much as it is for the next governor to be a Republican. And I haven't like endorsed anyone, not that anyone cares about my endorsement.
Are you leaning towards anybody?
No, not really, because you know why? I would vote for any of them over a Democrat.
Right.
And I see a lot of, there's like an exceeding amount of hatred and vitriol going back and forth between
I hate it.
This side and that side. And
it's really bad.
It's really bad. And it concerns me, frankly, because I think it's the only way we lose, to be honest with you.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Jack, and I was able to get a few words in with Spadia, and it's so bad.
Yeah, I just wait. Listen, politics is politics, right? Like Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist with the buses, and she ends up being the vice president. Trump called Marco Rubio Little Marco and all these things, and now he's the Secretary of State, right? It's politics. That's cool.
Yeah.
What you need, though, is as soon as June 10th comes and whoever wins, whoever loses should say, okay, we should support him. That's all you need.
100% agree with you. It's so hard though, looking at the other side and see how easy they get past it though, and then come together. It's almost like they're forced. There has to be
I was
some.
just going to say that. They're not doing this.
Yeah. There has to be some
this.
parent there who knows who it is, a source or whatever. If you don't do it, you get nothing. You guys better get together. But man, with the Republicans, it gets so tense, and they just.
It seems like, especially in this state, I haven't been involved in the state politics until now. But it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, well, I guess just generally speaking, I've always seen felt like an apathy on our side in our state, that like, oh, it's just too far gone to fix. And what do you think? You're going to change anything? You're not going to change anything at all. That I'm trying to end as well, because with that attitude, of course, nothing's going to change. But we decided, I don't know exactly when in this state, to just put our hands up and walk away and not take part in the political process until now. You see it where you went to the Tesla event, right?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
You see a lot of.
Wasn't that a great turnout?
Yeah, well, I wasn't there. I was in Florida.
There was a completely organic reaction to what they knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So to your point, I completely get it. I think people here, they felt lost. They felt like there was no hope. I think with not just Trump's leadership, but the fact that they were able to see that, if the entire country, if the needle can move across the entire landscape of the country, maybe we can do that here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I never really thought that this state was gone. I was actually really pissed off when I saw that they had called the state at only 3% during the election. I'm what are they doing?
What did you think? Be honest. What did you actually, going into the election, what did you actually think was going to happen?
I thought we had a chance.
Or just forget our state, just nationally. What you thought was going to happen with that? If it was going to be close, if it was going to be a landslide either way, and our state, what did you think it was going to end up being, like, just percentage wise? Be honest.
I thought that it was going to be close. I thought we actually had a chance, because in the gubernatorial race with Chitterelli and Murphy before, what was it, a year before or 2 years before?
It was 2021, so 3 years.
It was 21? It was that far back?
Yeah.
Okay, look, people are going to call me an election denier. Fine, call me an election denier. I don't believe that Trump lost 2020. We don't have to rehash that. I have a lot of reasons. There's a layer cake of things that I could go into that really upset me about that election.
Okay.
I'm not someone who's going to go smashing windows at the Capitol.
Well, that's good.
Okay. I did go to some of the Stop the Steal rallies, and the people that I knew that went to that rally to protest when Trump was there, you would never catch me going into the Capitol.
Yeah.
I called my friend and I was just like, do not go in there. That's a trap. I was like, do not go in there, please. He's like, I'm not going in. I'm not going. But look,
but I think your point is that 2021 right after was a bit a much different environment than we're in now, and he came very close, Jack. I think with only a certain
we never had
3 points.
We never had the election reform. Okay,
in the state,
just across the country in general. Okay, when you have like governors, lieutenant governors, they go and they usurp state legislature to change the it's state legislature that is supposed to change the election laws. If you want people to stay home and mail in their ballot, okay, and you want to close polling stations, just shut down in-person voting, go ahead. Have the state legislature pass that law. I'm fine with it. Yes, states can run their own elections, but the state legislature has to pass that law. For governors to go ahead and do it just because they know that if we bring a lawsuit and rally against that, say, hey, that's not fair. They know that we didn't have the time to fast track that in time for the election. That's bad. Okay. Then you had the unequal representation in the polling stations. Then you had, like people actually taping up the windows because people were upset what was going on. Okay. Then you had like carpet bombing all the states with the mail-in ballots. And then you had like everything being digital. Okay. Yeah. We don't have like regular ballots anymore. Then you had like, people not clearing the voter rolls. Okay. So we have plenty of dead people. It's a layer cake. You have man, what are some of the other things? Okay, you have like multiple. They found in Michigan 100,000 social security numbers voted 300,000 times, something like that. Okay, so that's like maybe 160,000 votes that shouldn't have been. And you find all this stuff. You find it out after the fact, after everybody's meant to eat the shit sandwich, and they see that nefarious activity is going on when you shut down the count at 10:30. Okay, a pipe burst or whatever, or in certain, wherever. But like a lot of swing counties shut down the count. You don't know what's going on. And then you think Trump has won. And then all of a sudden, 4 a.m., the magic ballot buses come in. Oh, yeah, here are another million votes. That's not right. And there's no down ballot selection. Only Biden was selected. Okay, so again, layer cake. All right, and then what else? We don't have election day. We have election month. Oh, we're still waiting for the mail-in ballots. Well, you could be printing. You could be filling out however many ballots, you know, like, who knows? Okay, it's supposed to be election day, not election. So look, I went through a bunch of stuff. There's a lot more I could get into. Call me an election denier, whatever. So yeah, when there's nefarious activity, people don't want to be forced a shit sandwich. Now, that doesn't mean that if, say, I lost and I'm forced to eat a shit sandwich, I don't want to eat it, I'm going to get violent. No, that's wrong. But we have mechanisms to allow the population that's on the losing side to concede, because we had an election. This is our process. But if the election doesn't have integrity, that's where people get upset. If you're at a poker game, okay, and the guy that was invited by a friend of yours, you see an ace up his sleeve across the table from you, everybody flips the table. They drag the guy outside. They beat the shit out of him. They split the chips. You leave what you came with. That game didn't count, right?
Right.
But because, you know, nobody wants to be forced to take the loss when there was nefarious activity. So it's like when there's smoke, there's fire. So I understand the anger, and I understand why the 250,000, 500,000 people, however many were down there at the Capitol. I understand why they were there. I support the president. I support exactly what was going on there to protest peacefully and patriotically. I don't support violence. So the handful of people that were there to instigate should totally go to jail. But for Biden to do what he did, okay, and put all those people that were there in jail as political prisoners, even the idiot guy who was dressed like the Viking, what is the shaman guy?
Yeah.
Why are you putting him in jail? Did he hurt anybody? No. He walked in there. Okay. The Capitol Police allowed him to come in. You saw the videos.
It does seem like that.
People
on
who
that
were
video.
dressed like Capitol Police, opening gates, allowing people to go in. This is how people use the word insurrection. Oh, did you see the attack on the Capitol? I saw some people acting a little rowdy, and those people should be arrested. But most of the people I saw there were like with hats and flags.
Yeah. Well, listen. I think you don't even have to go that deep into it, because I actually believe that most people that voted for Trump either don't care about that as much, or, you know, just didn't like it and just moved on from it. I think in regards to the 2 elections ago now, is how the media and the machine treated the situation in general when you talk about the election, right? So obviously the number one thing is the Hunter Biden's laptop, right? Everyone knows that that's real now. And we were all told that
not everyone. Not everyone.
Signed off 50 generals or CIA experts or whatever signed off. This is Russian information or misinformation. That was a lie. I mean, that was a concerted effort to affect.
Not
the
even
election.
a mistake, but just an outright lie.
So
they peddle it.
Right. So that and everyone knows that obviously that was not Russian disinformation or misinformation. So the American people saw that, and even more so. And this is really when I started feeling really good about Trump's chances to win this past time, was when they started going after him criminally. I think that was, and obviously it proves to be the case, that was a huge overplay on their part, a big mistake.
Absolutely.
They did not need to do that. If they didn't do that, I don't know if he's president now,
right?
To be honest with you. And most Americans saw that for what it was. It's like, listen, this is a guy with many imperfections, just like all of us have. But he's never been convicted for any of these things or even remotely close for his entire 75 years of existence. And now he's saying, bam, 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 bam. And you're saying that you changed the laws, specifically, I believe the one in New York, to turn it into a felony. Before it was just a misdemeanor. This was clear manipulation of an election process, both 2020 and 2024, that by 2024, most Americans saw through it, which I and we are grateful for, and that's why he won. That was a big mistake on their part, and the second one is flipping Joe Biden out. But
yes, I agree. So you and I talking about the elections and all that stuff. It was a long story made longer, but you were asking me before about the gubernatorial race. What I thought about Jack and Murphy, and then maybe what was going to happen this time, what I thought about Jersey. That's why I brought that up, was because I still believed that because we didn't have election reform, that stuff was still going on. People were getting away with that stuff. It's just people aren't paying it as much attention because it's not a presidential race. Most people, they just pay attention because it's a president. Okay, who can name the governor of Wisconsin? What high school kid or, like what common person in New Jersey gets involved in? No. So nobody's paying attention. So on the state level, it's happening probably, even worse. They get away with a lot more because nobody's really looking. Nobody cares as much as they do about the president. So the same thing happened with Chitterelli. We thought that he won Bergen County. You say it was 2021. We thought that he won Bergen County. We're watching the news. 100% is in. My friend and I are looking at each other. Awesome. And then, of course, half an hour later, oh, no, it's not all in. Here comes the magic ballot
but you
bus.
know what? But you know what? You don't even have to worry about that because I'm going to tell you why. Because whether there's, nefarious stuff going on election nights or not, I have no idea. I've never been, I don't know. One side is one story, one is another. What I do know though, is that right now, we let it get out of control, people on our side in this state, where it got to a point where the Democrats had plus a million in advantage in registered voters.
I know where you're going with this.
Now, and I would like to plug, by the way, I'm not part of, they're not affiliated with my campaign or anything, but I've been volunteering a bit for Scott Presser's organization, Early Vote Action, and they're doing a lot of great work. They're going out with the tables, registering voters, getting commitments to vote, switching Democrat and independent to Republican. And I see it with my own eyes. You'd be surprised the amount of people that are either independent or even especially Democrat that they're registered Democrat, yet they think more on the right, but they're registered Democrat because they needed to get a job in town, or they're registered Democrat because they're afraid if they're a Republican, they're going to be targeted in some way. So the good news is the registration numbers are flipping. Not where there's more Republicans than Democrats yet.
Not yet, but it's huge.
But in 2021, the Democrats had 1 million voter registration advantage. That's down to 800,000 now. So it's a big difference. Jack Chitterelli only lost by 81,000 votes. So that's more.
Hold on. It's only down to 800?
Yeah, it's from 1 million down to 800,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a trend here. It's happening every month. Just in March alone, there was a net gain of almost 5,000 registered voters for the Republicans. So it's a good trend in our direction. And the important part to know is that it's actually the opposite trend as what was going on during Trump's first term. Because, Trump could be such a fire starter for people on both sides. It was probably his first term was probably, maybe whatever, turning people into Democrats here for whatever reason, even though they were wrong. Now it's the opposite. Now more people are in our state are registering towards Republicans than Democrats at a massive scale, which is really good news for the governor's race. And like I said, I think all of that with the momentum that he's given us here, once we get past this tariff thing, and I think we're past it now, or we're going to be past it soon, we have like a once in a generation opportunity, I think, to really put people like us, like-minded people in positions of authority or whatever you want to say, where at least we have a seat at the table on the state level, on the county level, on the town level. It could be school board,
right?
Where they at least have to listen to us. They at least have to deal with us. We have a say, And that's politics. It makes me very hopeful and excited.
So we're definitely moving the needle. I just looked up the numbers that you said. It said, okay, so in New Jersey, this data indicates that Democrats outnumber Republicans in voter registration by about 800,000. Correct. Okay, however, it's important to note that the gap has been narrowing in recent years. For instance, in 2024, last year, Republicans added more than 19,000 registered voters and Democrats lost 2,000 members. So yeah, this is a great sign.
Yeah.
This is a great sign. And everybody needs to get out there, get their friends.
And another part of it too, I mean,
pets
back to
registered.
back to the early vote action. It's called early vote action, right?
Right.
Just like you, I'm sure. I like going on election day. I just like it. I like it like that. If I could snap my fingers, it would just be election day, and that's it, right?
It should be a national holiday.
National
as far as I'm
holiday,
concerned,
totally.
yeah.
But we can't go. And Trump made a mistake in 2020, not buying into the early voting and things and the mail-in votes. I think that was probably the only reason he lost. He doesn't now. We don't now. You could see the Republican Party in general is getting much better nationally, as well as you could see it on the grounds here in New Jersey so far. A much better coalition of people getting the ballots and getting their early voter registration, getting the ballots to the people to early vote and early in-person voting, mail-in voting. They're doing a much better job. We have a long way to go to catch up to the Democrats, but that's what I'm saying. To me, it doesn't even matter because you saw in 2024, right? If the nefarious stuff was going on in the middle of the night, like in 2020 and also in 2024, we would have lost it then too, right? But we didn't, because we bought into the system and listen, like I said, I wouldn't want to have it this way. If I was king for a day, I'd get rid of the early voting. I think it's a major way to do stuff you're not allowed to do. But we can't do that. It goes by each state has their own laws, and
you got to play
the
game.
You got to play the game, and the Democrats played the game better than we did in 2020. At the end of the day,
but it's legal cheating. So if they're going to legal cheat, we're going to legal cheat.
Well,
I'm serious.
Well, if it's legal, it ain't cheating, right?
Well, it's my way of saying, like
that you don't like it.
It's bullshit election stuff. It's not who's voting, it's who's counting the votes. That's really what it is. So if that's the way it's going to be, and that's how they're going to play the game, then you just can't do it. As much as you want to go and vote on election day, you can't do it. And yes, we didn't have our chess pieces set up in 2020 because they could take advantage of whatever they were doing, behind closed doors back then. And now this time we had our people there. We had our legal team there in all the swing counties and all the places that mattered. I think that there were like 3,000 polling stations. And I give Lara Trump so much credit for organizing that. If it wasn't for her, we would have lost. If it wasn't for her legal team and the oversight that they arranged, at the county election offices, we would have lost, because that's where that shit goes down.
I also give a lot of credit to, the people not specifically associated with the GOP, guys like Scott Pressler in Pennsylvania, as well as Charlie Kirk as well.
Huge.
I mean, these guys, they learned from the mistakes that they made or we made or whatever in 2020. That was honestly a big reason why I decided to get more involved as well. I saw these people going out there, and I just had a feeling of inspiration, good, really, really, really good for them.
Yeah.
You didn't cry about it for too long, right? You got down, you started doing the work for 4 years, and these are the fruits of your labor right here. I don't know if you win so much without those two guys. I don't know if you win so much without those two guys.
They had a lot of influence.
And then think about all the influence that Charlie Kirk has on the younger male generation and things like that. These are things that are going to be paying off politically for quite a while.
Charlie more on a national level, but Scott, what he did in Pennsylvania, it really did flip things in our favor big time.
Yeah, and I think it made an impact on New Jersey. I think that's why it ends up being so close. Much closer. Me personally, I knew it was going to be single digits. I didn't think it was going to be only 5.8 or whatever. But you would see a poll like plus 16 or something. I was like, no way. You ever go down the shore? You ever go to Ocean County? It is 100% MAGA country down there.
Oh yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I feel more at home down there sometimes than I do here, but
I drive down there all the time. My son is, he's not up here anymore. He's in college. So, I'm always taking those trips, and it's exactly what you said. It's Trump country. It's MAGA country. You see the signs, you see the flags all over the place.
Yeah.
So, hey, thank you so much for joining us. I really had a really good time talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to plug your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. Jay Costa USA is the YouTube channel. Basically Second Amendment stuff here in New Jersey. Running for county commissioner. If you're in Bergen County, vote, ask for your support in the primary June 10th. And then if we get through the primary, we'll do general election. If you want to just learn more about me or whatever, you can check out my social media stuff. It's all at Jay Costa USA. So at Jay Costa USA on X and on Instagram and on YouTube. And jcostausa.com. I got merchandise there, behind enemy lines, all that good stuff. So thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you like the content and you want to support the show, please, smash the like button and go to scottloia.com. Subscribe there. We got the store up. Jay, I hope you're going to like this. I mean, you know what we're all about. We're all about the anti-woke. I was watching this movie on Netflix. Okay. Do you see this movie with, what's her face? Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke?
Netflix is dead to me. That's too woke for me. I canceled my subscription a while ago.
It was called
Along with
Leave
Disney.
the World Behind. What a piece of
I remember
shit
when that came out.
movie.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit. And like you said, very woke. So
no, you got cancel Netflix.
Yeah, Leave the World Behind. Garbage. Okay, Leave the Woke Behind.
That's a good one.
All right. Get this. ScottLoia.com. Leave the Woke Behind. We got them in black. We got them in white.
Awesome.
And this one I designed here. Check it. Oh, man. And the material is so comfortable. But guys, check this one out. Because I do love my Hershey's without nuts. Where's the anti-woke brigade over here? ScottLoia.com. Check it out, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next one, Jay.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Thank you.